When I first started looking into a CNC router, the cheap kits on the market seemed like a tempting way to get a machine on a budget. I remember ordering one of those 12-inch tabletop units, only to spend weeks wrestling with wobble, missed cuts, and a spindle that quit mid-project. The regret hit hard. My time and material were gone, and the whole hobby felt more like a headache than a creative outlet. That's why I was cautious when the FoxAlien X Ultra 8080 showed up in my feed. It promises a megascale work area and closed-loop stepper motors that sound like the kind of engineering that actually prevents those early-stage frustrations. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What makes a CNC router feel like a smart purchase isn't just the headline numbers, it's how it behaves when you're actually trying to carve a piece of walnut, cut a sheet of acrylic for a sign, or mill a carbon fiber bracket for a drone. The X Ultra is positioned as a benchtop machine, but at 33 inches square it's more of a small shop workhorse. If you've outgrown the 12-inch hobby machines that struggle with anything larger than a coaster, the extra workspace instantly opens up a new class of projects. Think full-size guitar bodies, decorative panels, or even small aluminum brackets for robotics. That jump in size, however, also means you need a dedicated area that can handle the footprint and the weight, which for many makers translates into a reinforced workbench or a concrete slab in a garage. Let's talk about the motor system. The machine uses 2.6 Nm closed-loop stepper motors, which is a step up from the open-loop drivers you find on budget rigs. In practical terms, the closed-loop design monitors the motor's actual position and corrects any missteps on the fly. I've seen a lot of videos where cheap machines lose steps mid-cut, leaving a jagged edge and forcing a redo. With this FoxAlien, the motor's feedback loop means that even when you push the feed rate a bit higher on a hardwood piece, the controller keeps the axis on track. It doesn't magically make a piece of pine cut like steel, but it does give you confidence that the machine won't suddenly drift when you're trying to finish a dovetail joint. The control box is a 32-bit board that runs the motion firmware. That's not just marketing fluff. The extra processing headroom allows smoother acceleration curves and more precise micro-stepping. When I set up a test cut of a 1/8-inch acrylic sheet with a 0.5 mm end mill, the machine kept a steady, vibration-free motion, which translated into clean, transparent edges, something you normally have to chase with a higher-end CNC. The control board also supports a wide range of open-source firmware, meaning you can plug in a GRBL or TinyG controller if you prefer tweaking parameters yourself. For a user who likes to tinker with firmware settings, that openness is a real strength. Spindle flexibility is another practical point. The X Ultra comes with an open spindle ecosystem, meaning the router isn't locked into a proprietary motor. I was able to mount a 2.2 kW air-cooled spindle that I already owned from a previous project, and the machine's mounting plates accepted it without any custom brackets. That flexibility can save you money if you already have a spindle that matches the RPM range you need, but it also means you have to source your own spindle and ensure it's compatible with the power supply you have. The trade-off here is a bit of extra planning versus the convenience of a turnkey kit. Now, who should actually consider buying this machine? If you're a serious hobbyist who has already exhausted the capabilities of a 12-inch router, or if you run a small prototyping shop where you need to move from cardboard mock-ups to real-world parts in wood, aluminum, or carbon fiber, the X Ultra delivers a workspace that matches those ambitions. The rigidity of the frame, thanks to its all-metal construction and industrial-grade limit switches, means you can push the machine into medium-hard materials without constantly fretting about frame flex. It's also a solid fit for educators who need a machine that can handle multiple material types in a classroom setting, because the open spindle approach lets them swap tools for different lessons. On the flip side, if you're just dabbling with occasional hobby cuts like making a few keychains or a small wooden sign, this machine is likely overkill. The price point is higher than entry-level kits, and the space requirement can be a deal-breaker for apartment dwellers. Moreover, the machine does not come with an integrated dust collection system. You'll need to set up a separate extractor if you plan to mill aluminum or carbon fiber, as those materials generate fine particulates that can settle on the rails and affect long-term precision. Ignoring dust management could lead to premature wear on the inductive limit switches that serve as the safety stop. Speaking of the limit switches, they are industrial-grade inductive types, which are more reliable than simple mechanical microswitches. In daily use, that translates to fewer false triggers and less maintenance. However, the switches are